For all those wondering, Nolan, where the hell have you been? I can give you a perfect example and reasoning for why I've been away. Many years ago, when I was first starting this podcast in 2020, I believe it was probably April or May or March. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was about 3 or 4 years ago when I first started this. And the reason why I wanted to do the podcast was for a simple reason. I watched too many videos out there, or listened to too many episodes of podcasts or interviews where people were talking to these really famous or well-known people in that community, and I wasn't learning anything from it. I wasn't like, oh wow, that was a great thing I learned. I didn't know that. I'm glad I tuned into this. This was very entertaining and interesting. It was never a moment where like, oh, 20 minutes into it went super fast, went by, or oh, I'm already done. It's been an hour. What the heck? That was so fun. I didn't really get that. But also, to tell you the truth, I wasn't watching a whole lot of podcast interviews because it felt like to me that a lot of people who had the time to interview these people, whether they were super wealthy and super well known, like big corporations, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, MSN, all these companies, or groups with a lot of social clout and financial means, like Barstool Sports, they weren't asking quality questions. They didn't seem like they're doing their research. It seemed like just greatest hits questions. Now I get it if it's a 50th anniversary or something like the 50th anniversary of The Godfather Part 2. Then yeah, you're going to stick to questions that are the greatest hits for that movie and that anniversary of 50 years. But if you have the time to speak to somebody for more than a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, or an hour plus, do your research, ask all sort of different questions. So I took my time really serious during the research process of listening to everything I could, reading everything I could, or watching everything I could on that potential guest after agreeing to set up a date for a Zoom call and writing everything down, small things or big things. Because if I mention that small thing just as much as I do with the big thing that I learned about them, then they're going to say, holy shit, this person knows what the hell he's talking about. I'm going to, lower my guard. I'm going to feel more comfortable as a guest, thus causing me, the interviewer, to be really calm as well. And then we both kind of have a great time talking. And that was my whole plan. And I did that for many, many months. Of course, after I got comfortable with friends and that sort of situation. And then I started building my pyramid up to get big guests. But about 3 years into it, I was saying, I'm getting close to graduating, getting close to hopefully getting a full-time job one day, and I want to focus on that. So let me see if I can reach to 3 years worth or 4 years worth of guests, because that'd be really cool. 3 years would be a nice number, but four is a nice even amount, presidential term amount of guests. That'd be cool. Of course, I didn't do my best of having someone every week, but for the most part, compared to other podcasts that started around the same time as me in sort of my area of my state and the country, I think I did a pretty good job consistently each week having a great and interesting guest on the show that people might not have even heard of beforehand. But then about 6 or 7 months, maybe even eight before I ended, I was getting the feeling of I'm dreading reaching out to people just to get three responses back via email of guests agreeing to be on the show as guests. I'm dreading the fact of having to do all this research like I usually do, or editing it. I don't want to do that. It's boring, or putting it out there. So I slowly went from having something every week to every 2 weeks not having guests, to then a month, to four, to eight, then a year. And now it's almost 14 months that I haven't had a guest. And I was so enjoyable, or I was having such an enjoyable time not doing it, that it was rewarding and relieving. I can't say the word relieving for me to not have to rush through that process. Did I miss that? Yeah. Did people miss it who tuned into? Family and friends and family? Certainly, yeah, and I felt bad for that. But I didn't want to half-ass it and not provide some sort of great content for people if it was low quality dog food, in my opinion. However, during the time, because I still like doing a podcast, I said, what can I do that is still a podcast form, but not require as much work? And I decided to do a movie review, and I still have that critiquing with car on YouTube and audio platforms like all the other things. And I was reviewing movies twice a week. Memorable Movie Monday. See, I'm stuttering trying to say it. Memorable Movie Monday and Favorite Film Friday, and it was fun. But then 6 or 7 months into that process, or not into that process, like recently, I was like, I'm starting to get the urge to do the other podcast again. Also because 1984 or 74, whatever it may be, this year of 2024, I should say, there are big anniversaries of film and music. So I said, okay, well, let me wait till I fully feel ready to do this, and then we'll attack this. Now, I was fully invested in wanting to do it in November, but I spent weeks, days, nights, several hours each night creating a list of dozens upon dozens, hundreds of people that obviously I'm not going to get to all before the year ends, but I was like, I want to do it again. And here we are. And I want to do it for as long as I want because now I also have my full-time job underway. In my town I live in, not going to say where it is for those who are desperately looking to see where I live to be TMZ to me, which I'm sure is definitely possible and plausible. I got that under control. I have it all not under wraps, but I'm able to do it and do other things at the same time. So why not do it? Granted, my work hours aren't great, so I kind of have to balance when I'm going to do interviews. But I'm at a point where I don't care about maybe the release schedule, whatever the case may be, but I'm invested in wanting to do it again. And I've already conducted two great interviews, almost three great interviews, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to do this. Thank you all for being so great when I first did it for 3 straight years. And here's hopefully to a few more years of doing a great job. Until then, as always, take care, and most importantly, happy viewing.